Well, this starts out as kind of a history lesson on Corvette, how it was inspired, how it came about. John Amgort and I have been, I don't know if you folks know who John Amgort is, but he founded the National Corvette Restore Society with 5 other guys back in '74. And he was the editor for all publications with NCRS for the first 25 years of its existence. At any rate, there's been some recording of history that isn't completely accurate, which tends to happen on virtually any subject, but of course us being passionate about the Corvette history, we wanted to get everything right, and so I and he have launched further research projects on these early cars. And largely inspired, a friend of mine, Ken Kaiser, he wrote this book, and it's Legend or Myth of Zora's Mark of Excellence, and it's talking about the early Corvettes. Well, I heard from the grapevine that Ken was saying this famed picture of the June 30th, 1953 production photograph there. He said that these first 2 cars were not really production cars. They were the 2 Motorama cars that followed the show circuit that were prototype cars. And it's categorically wrong. They are most assuredly production cars, all 3 of these cars. The shape of the grille on the Motorama cars is different. The headlight shape is different. The moldings down the side are different. However similar they are, they're still different. And the length of the door on the Motorama car is shorter than the production car. The length of the quarter panel on the Motorama car is longer than the production car. So you start trying to put production trim on a prototype car, it's just not going to fit, and the single spear molding that the prototype cars had were unique to the prototype run of cars. The way it started, Chevrolet decided that they were going to investigate the prospects of building a sports car. All of the European enthusiasm. Kaiser was working on a car that they ultimately developed, the Darren. Nash had worked with a British company, Healy, for coming up with a sport car concept, and this was all in the mill. I believe that the Kaiser Darren happened in, I think the Nash happened in '52, Kaiser Darren maybe '54, I'm not sure, but all along about the time of the debut of the Corvette at any rate. Well, Chevrolet initially ordered 5 chassis of this designated 102-inch wheelbase platform that they had come up with, and they decided to build 3 of those 5 cars. EX52 is the Motorama show car number 1 that you will see various different pictures. Now, if you see a Motorama show car with scoops on the front fender similar to 56 and 7 Corvette, that's the Motorama show car number 1. And that traveled the American circuit for the shows more prevalently. And then they affectionately referred to the number 2 EX53 Motorama show car number 2 as the Canadian Motorama show car. Very limited coverage in Canada, but nonetheless, it was what they, Jim.
So the classic picture on the turntable at the Waldorf Astoria, is that 1 or 2, or it could be either one?
It's EX52. Unless it is the one that doesn't have the scoops on the fenders, and then it's EX53. But that's how you can decipher the difference of those 2 cars. Now, they followed the show circuit that started in Miami and ended up in Kansas City that year. And it started early on, like, well, let me tell you exactly. Miami, Florida, February 12th through the 17th. Chicago, Illinois, 14th through the 22nd. Los Angeles, California, 11th through the 19th of April. San Francisco, California, May 1 through 7. Dallas, Texas, May 16th through 24. Kansas City, June 6th through the 14th. And these cars were out on the show circuit till the 14th of June. The first cars rolled off the assembly line on the 30th of June. And I told Ken Kaiser, I said, Ken, you would have us believe that they took those cars, took them back into styling and put them into production car trim so that they could stage this June 30th photograph? He says, oh, yeah. I said, well, I haven't read your book, and on all due respect for you, I said, I am calling you to order one of your books, and I said, I'm going to read through it, and if you convince me that I'm wrong and you're right, I said, I'm going to call you back and eat crow. But I haven't had to make that phone call. At any rate, I says, before you send the book out, make sure you sign it for me, which he did. And this was in October of 2020. Now, if you look at this photograph, that is EX52. That is the first Motorama show car. You can see the little scoops on the front fenders with red insert. This car, it's interesting because the first name that they came up with for this car, and the nameplates say Cougar on it, and that was not the chosen name that they ultimately ended up enrolled with, but that particular picture does have Cougar on the front fender. And then Myron Scott, they opened it up in the suggestion box at General Motors on what they should name this new sports car. And Myron Scott had been reading about this military warship that was called the Corvette, very maneuverable sort of a deal, and he submitted that name. It stuck, everybody liked it, and the rest is history as we know it. Well, anyway, so we had 5 prototype chassis made, and they were numbered 852, 853, 854, 855, and 856. 852 was EX52, 853 was EX53, 856 remained 1856, and it was the Proving Grounds test car. 854 and 855 did not get used. There is some subsequent work orders that I've run across that make mention that it could have been gone to one of the other divisions, Oldsmobile, Pontiac, possibly Buick, because we had the 2-seat Buick Wildcat and the Bonneville Special Pontiac and the Oldsmobile F88, and they could have been based completely on a Corvette platform chassis, but I don't know enough about those cars to offer a real sensible opinion on that. At any rate, we get into the production cars, and what I wanted to do for the documentary that Amgort and I will be composing was I wanted to gather up as much history as I could on these production cars, because car number 1, E53F001001, got assigned engineer number 3950 as it rolled off the assembly line, and it went right into research and development right off the assembly line. Car number 2, it was 3951. I got to quit looking at my notes. I'll just tell you what they are. So 3951 was production car number 2. Production car number 3 was ES127. Now, the engineering numbers, the 39 series number is a Chevrolet number. The ES numbers are General Motors engineering corporate numbers for all divisions. ES127-1 was production car number 3. And then car number 4, 5, and 6, they went to Wilmington, Delaware to the DuPont estate. Henry DuPont, being a major stockholder in General Motors and good friends with Ed Cole, managed to flim-flam 3 of those cars before anybody else could. And at any rate, his daughter took car number 4. His CFO, Spencer Weed, took car number 5, and Henry DuPont himself had car number 6. Car number 7 was once again a Chevrolet engineering number 3953. Car number 8 was ES128-2. Car number 9 was ES129-3. And car number 10, I have been completely unsuccessful in finding anything, even an inkling of any information on that car.